your 2025 Tank Fest champions, the Washington Wizards. What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and yeah, let's talk about that Brooklyn Nets matchup. The Wizards taking on one of the other teams down at the bottom of the standings last night, 129-106, the final in favor of Brooklyn. Let's chat about that. Obviously, the defense has been a problem this year. I'll give you my player of the game. And lastly, we'll jump into the comment section from the previous video. Make sure you're consistently down in that comment section, a chance for your voice to be heard here on the show. I appreciate all the support here on the road to 1K. Thanks for tuning in every single weekday. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons as well. And again, let's jump into this Nets matchup. Again, 129-106, the final. And the Wizards, welcome back Bilal Coulibaly, but other than that, I mean, a flat out ugly performance, frankly, especially down the stretch. I was really frustrated. The Wizards were down about 10 going into the fourth quarter. They had cut the lead, made it a close game late in the third, and then let the lead grow back up to 10 going into the fourth. But you would have felt like it was way bigger than that. It was just kind of a lifeless effort in that fourth quarter. And that was what was disappointing to see. Again, the big picture, those two teams with one win going into, last night. In the big picture, it helps you out. You hold on to your spot where in the bottom of the standings, where there's legit competition right now to stay down at the bottom of the league. Again, I say pretty much every day here on the page, we know the situation, trying to hold on to the draft pick next year. But my gut reaction to this one, honestly, is this is disappointing. I mean, you wanted a better performance against the Brooklyn Nets, to be quite honest. I thought we might be talking about a victory here today on this Monday show, on this Monday reaction. Thanks for tuning in once again. And instead, we're hearing about the team holding a players only meeting after the game. And the vibes are never high when you're hearing players only meeting talk. And 13 games in, you wish that wasn't happening quite yet. Seeing these types of losses, that's not development, and that's what's a little bit frustrating, I should say. And I think what's even more frustrating is how bad the Wizards defense is, giving up 129 points per game, the worst mark in the NBA. And the problem is they have one of the worst offensive ratings in the league as well. I would be okay if we were just seeing high scoring shootouts where the Wizards just can't stop anybody, but their offense looks awesome too. I could deal with that, to be quite honest. That would be an entertaining style of basketball. At least we would know offensively our young guys are growing and developing. But right now, the way things are going, I mean, just something has to change with just this defensive effort, because these types of losses, again, this is not development. Going into the year, we understood the draft pick situation, but frankly, the best case scenario for the team was to lose a bunch of close games. The best case scenario for the team moving forward, I'm not sure, is to get blown out by the Brooklyn Nets, who are also trying to stay down at the bottom of the standings. I think certain lineups are just maybe not conducive to defensive success, and that's fair to point out. For instance, I mean, when you just have aging Middleton and McCollum on the floor, at times you've seen a lineup like, and this isn't maybe consistently the five that's out there, but when you see a Middleton, McCollum, and Trey Johnson on the court together, and I mean, maybe even throw a Corey Kispert into that mix. When those three guys are on the court together, those aren't lineups that are going to be super conducive to defensive success. However, I'm just not sure we've seen the effort and just the energy and activity on the defensive end that you would like to. I mean, Brooklyn wasn't lighting the world. They were also one of the worst offensive rated teams in the league coming into last night, and they shoot 53%, 41% from the 3-point line. And that 3-point number is something I want to talk about. Could we just run a guy off the 3-point arc every once in a while? Like, make him put it on the deck. I know you have to then, rotate your defense and get things spinning that way, but just run a guy off the 3-point arc and don't let him just stand and, walk into a catch and shoot three. I would rather see that than sort of the half contest where, frankly, in the NBA today, I mean, if you're a foot off the guy and he's a step off the 3-point line, that's an open shot, whether your hand is up there or not. So just run a guy off the 3-point line. Just some more effort and activity at that end would be great to see, because Again, 129, 106, and you're giving up 129 points per game. That's not what we want to see in terms of letting these young guys grow. Move on to a little bit more of a positive note here today, and that's in terms of Keyshawn George's performance. I feel like last night we saw really all the good and all the bad we've been seeing from Keyshawn George here this year and been talking about. 29 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. Offensively, again, showed off his real complete skill set. Just again, continues to look really good there this year. I think he's looked good defensively as well. The problem is he has to find a way to balance his aggression on defense with just staying out of foul trouble. He's averaging almost 5 fouls per game here this year so far, and he fouled out again last night, picked up that 6 foul late in the fourth quarter. Now, I know last night he was kind of a let play through that foul trouble, but still, that's something he's just got to find a way to balance a little bit. One thing I want to talk about before I get into the comment section. I remember loving those gold uniforms when I was a kid. For some reason, NBA Live '08 with Gilbert Arenas on the cover wearing the gold jersey was my first basketball video game, which is a weird dated reference, and I'm going to date it even more. It was a rental from Blockbuster. I got my first console, I think, in like fourth or fifth grade, which, again, dated here is get 2011 ish. So NBA Live '08, again, you can do the math, is already a few years old there. It was a Blockbuster rental that I think my mom honestly just got because it was a little bit cheaper. I got, 2K and Madden every birthday there, or one of the other usually, probably not both. And then, during the year, if I really wanted a new game, it was like, okay, let's see what Blockbuster has for $5 or $10. And then, you'd say you'd rent them and it was like an extra $5 to just keep the game. And ultimately, that was a much cheaper way to give, your fifth grade son who wanted a new video game. NBA. Okay, so we get NBA Live '08. I remember having nostalgia. Sorry for the side story there, or maybe you enjoy the side story. Let me know on that too as well, down in that comment section. But I get NBA Live '08. I remember the gold jerseys, having some nostalgia there. I didn't love the jerseys last night. I don't love the court. I just don't. Maybe if I were my age now, then I wouldn't have loved the gold look either. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? It's not even really a gold. It's kind of just like a sandpaper color. I know a lot of people are getting a little bit of nostalgia back to those Arenas era jerseys with it and with the court. I kind of like the DMV logo in the middle of the court, but I don't love the gold look. I don't know about you guys. Maybe that's an unpopular take. I know a lot of people have been kind of requesting a rebrand over, since those gold jerseys came out, kind of sick of the base home and away model, but I don't know. The gold I wasn't a huge fan of. Let me know what you guys think. I would say my personal favorite of the city edition alternates they've come out with. I love those cherry blossom jerseys that they had a few years back. They also had a 2000s era white throwback that I remember from a couple seasons ago that I really enjoyed. Gold though, I think I'm out on. Again, let's jump into the comment section from the previous video. Remember, I asked the question, what would you guys rather see in that Brooklyn matchup? Again, essentially to win or lose the Tank Fest, lose the game. Again, keep your place in the standings. And they do have a couple more matchups against Brooklyn here this year. Or would you rather, just strictly for morale purposes going into this week, would you rather get a Wizards victory on a Sunday evening? We got the former, I guess. The Wizards lost, of course, and let's jump into that comment section. I know a few of you guys were Robert Snowden. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for dropping your comment. He said would like to see a win. I know there was a couple of other players, Dispo as well. He said, not players, I guess, commenters. Dispo said he wants to see the Wizards wiping out Brooklyn. Kenneth Rabin as well. I would prefer a dub. Enough L's for a while, and I think that's it on the win answer there. Of course, again, I told you before, my gut reaction to that game fairly disappointing. I understand that. Again, I understand the draft pick situation, but this right now, 11 straight losses, a lot of them just coming in ugly fashion. This doesn't seem like it's conducive to future success. Now, again, I think that's a gut knee-jerk reaction. I still think there's clearly a bunch of young talent on the roster that's flashed itself already, but last night was disappointing. Let's be quite honest. Live Ride 59, Bub doing his job, helping us out lose. Enough said about Bub, and obviously for Carrington, it's been a tough season to start off. I don't know what the let's see what those final numbers were last night. I saw he had a really tough. He was minus 25 in only 20 minutes of action, and I know plus minus isn't everything, but that's not what you want to see. 5 points, 2 of 5 from the floor. Really for the bench, also just looking at that box score as well, and kind of reminds me it was just the bench production has been decent this year because you have Trey Johnson, Cam Whitmore, coming off the bench, Marvin Bagley as well. Decent players that are just in your second unit. The bench didn't get going at all. Trey Johnson, one of his tougher efforts last night as well, 6 points, just 3 of 9, and couldn't knock down a three-pointer. He was 0 of 4 last night. Dispo also said, how about put Trey in the point guard spot, kind of continuing that thought about Bub, because we were wondering coming into the year, and this sort of responds to Anthony Etheridge's comment as well, if Bub was going to fill that point guard role, could he claim that spot moving forward? Because he had really a runway to do that here this season. And I'm not saying Bub can't build career in the NBA, but I don't think he has grabbed that starting point guard spot. He clearly hasn't. He's been moved down to the bench pretty quickly this year, and it's just been a tough go for him so far. I would like to see him turn it around. I know JCast Properties LLC says Bub might be the worst thing to come out of B-More. Also says the Bub and Bilal experiment has been horrendous. I don't know. Again, I still think both of those guys have plenty of opportunities in their career to turn it around. For Bilal, I would actually say there's probably a little bit more pressure here this season because it's year 3, and because, again, we know if you go past year 3, you don't get extended, you go towards restricted free agency, things can really, really get murky. We saw that in the NBA this past offseason. So I'd actually say for Bilal to just be on the court, show that he can stay healthy and be a productive member of the team, it's probably a little bit more pressure on him here this season. JXCM says, I do not agree with tanking for multiple years. The team is not currently developing into a winning product. They are learning how to be losers. The lack of effort, the unfocused play, untimely turnovers, and the unwillingness to crash the defensive boards is a mindset. Sarr is developing at a slow rate. His major problem is his inconsistent competitive defensive effort. Also, most of his points come from when the team is down by 20 or more points. The upside is that Johnson has all the elite and physical and mental attributes to become a star at a young age. I'm going to push back on your point there on Alex Sarr. First off, the team's just not good. So if you're upset about him producing when the team is down 20, I realize, I guess the thought there is that you'd rather see it come earlier, help him keep the team in the game. But I don't know. Would you rather not see the production from Alex Sarr? I think, and I disagree that he's developed at a slow rate, frankly. I think he's taken, by the way, great comment. Love that you're dropping your thoughts. Appreciate you dropping your thoughts. And well thought out comment as well. I keep saying thought there, but I do have some pushbacks because I don't think Alex Sarr is developing at a slow rate. I actually think he's clearly making big progress from year 1. He's clearly changed his offensive mindset in terms of becoming an inside-out player instead of an outside-in big man. I think he's clearly added muscle. His improvement on the glass, I think offensively and defensively, his improvement in terms of his strength, I'm not saying it's his best quality, his rebounding quite yet. I'm not saying he's a top 5, top 10 rebounder, whatever that elite marker would be in the NBA. But I will say this, if this progression continues, if the jump he's made from year 1 to year 2 in that regard keeps moving forward, which I think it certainly can at his age, and if he's just going to continue to show off that kind of work ethic, I don't think his progress has been slow, and I'm really not worried about Alex Sarr. I know it wasn't his best effort, one of his really worst performances of the year last night, but I've loved what he's been able to do so far this year. One more comment here from Disbow, and he's, remember, a big Bilal fan. He says Alex Sarr is him, and I can't wait to see the Friends connection back in action. Tony M 6'7", says, I don't mind the Wizards losing right now because I believe there's going to be a lot of other teams tanking on purpose, but the Wizards right now are not a good team and really needs a draft pick next season, possibly 1 to 3 to get the Boozers or Mikael Brown at pick 8. I saw another person, Mop Top, also interested in bringing in Brown as kind of a true point guard. Last point again on sort of the tanking versus competitive balance here this season. Again, we want to see the team be a little bit more in games than they were last night, especially when you're matching up against Brooklyn. And I think going into this stretch of games where the competition gets a little bit easier. I know it's Minnesota coming up. That won't be that won't be a easy game, obviously, but it gets a little bit easier on the schedule moving forward in the next 10 games or so. And you would really like to see the team just be more in some of these games. Hopefully, whatever they pulled from that players only meeting, I don't know. Hopefully, they found out some answers. There's a little bit more effort the next time we see the Washington Wizards. I'll keep you posted on everything related to Wizards basketball. We appreciate you tuning in here to the page. Make sure you've hit those like and subscribe buttons if you've gotten this far and haven't done so already. Remember to drop your comments as well. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.